Welcome back, fellow Gothamites. This is Gotham TV Podcast, and this is our top 3 WTF moments of Gotham Season 5, Episode 8, Nothing is Shocking, and it certainly wasn't. We got a lot of people introduced here, a lot of people then de-introduced in the same episode, for sure.
Yes.
Wasn't that the case?
Yeah, definitely. If there was nothing shocking in this episode, we wouldn't have our top 3 WTF moments for the week. Lots of shocking stuff, lots of surprises. Obviously, if you want to hear our full podcast, it's out right now over on our website at gothamtvpodcast.com. Loads of links over there to places you can hear it, like Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, loads of places to listen to it. Loads of full-on thoughts about the episode. But this is just our top 3 most shocking moments from the episode, right?
Yes, another thing as well, that our interviews are out as well.
Yes.
Derek was very lucky not only to interview Francesca Root-Dodson, who plays Ecco,
Excellent.
but also the return of Andrew Sellon, a.k.a. Arthur Penn,
yes,
a.k.a. the ventriloquist, a.k.a. Scarface. Yes, what a great set of interviews here that we have over on Gotham TV Podcast.
Yeah, it was really cool. Andrew actually talked to me specifically about this episode, about how it all came about. And as probably most Gotham fans can tell, this episode was written after the main series. That's why it doesn't have a huge effect on major plot lines in the show. We're getting an episode that's written purely for the fans to bring in characters that we thought were never going to appear on the show. People like Scarface. We never thought that character would actually get there, since we only had 10 episodes of the season. But with the extra 2 episodes that we get Scarface. How cool is that?
Yeah, really good stuff. But on to our first WTF moment of the week, and that is the return of Arthur Penn and a whole lot more.
Yes.
Indeed, we got Arthur Penn, also known as Mr. Penn, to his closest friend, Oswald Cobblepot.
Or Arnold Penn to Oswald Cobblepot, who keeps messing up his name throughout the episode.
He did, but that was also quite a nice little reference to Arnold Weiss, who plays the ventriloquist, who is the character
Arnold
of...
Wesker, sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
Arnold Wesker, sorry.
Yeah.
Who is the ventriloquist in the comics. Because, as well, Arthur Penn is the ventriloquist, and he is also embodied by Scarface, the dummy, or the puppeteer's dummy, and yeah, really good.
It was pretty cool, wasn't it? I'm finding it really difficult not to keep my mouth closed while I'm speaking, because I've watched this episode a few times now and I just have that ventriloquist mood in there. Really cool to have live action ventriloquism on the show. It's something you don't get to see very often.
Absolutely.
You know, knowing that Andrew Sellon's the ventriloquist and didn't get the opportunity to do this in the original run of the series, really cool they brought him back just for this episode to show off his skills on screen with the beautiful puppet. That Scarface puppet is awesome. I'm really hopeful that exploding head was just an effect, and that dummy is somewhere in the archives of Warner Brothers Pictures to be brought out at a future convention at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so good. The production of the dummy, but also, you know, you see him looking through the Venetian blinds.
That was good.
Just so good. I thought the eyes were amazing. Just, it looked like they were bloodshot around the outside of the eye. Just that tone within the eyes. And of course, I think it was really nice to see Arthur Penn return and to see his relationship with Oswald Cobblepot.
Yeah.
I also liked the fact that, you know, again, it just showed a bit more about Ed and Oswald's relationship. Ed effectively willing to throw Oswald under the bus, so to speak. You know, he was trying to self-preserve himself while Scarface was in charge. And then as soon as he wasn't, it was like, no, it's just going to be me and Oswald.
Exactly.
I don't want this third person or fourth person, or shall I say fifth person. I think the main thing is, though, it was really short and sweet.
Yeah.
You know, the return of Mr. Penn, the introduction of the ventriloquist with Scarface, you know, introduced in this episode and taken away from us by Ed Nigma in this episode as well. So it was great to see Andrew Sellon reprise the role of Mr. Penn, but also then to introduce and bring alive both Scarface and the ventriloquist. It was just such a nice moment here, and I thought it was really good how he embodied kind of 2 elements from the comics. You know, one where you feel that Scarface has taken over the ventriloquist and is manipulating him, but then also the split personality aspect of Arthur Penn, seeing where he kind of breaks away from being Scarface. And I thought that was a nice nice touch.
Yeah, I love that moment when he's trying to explain to Oswald why he hurt him so badly and why he's so broken as a person, and the voice changes from Scarface's voice back into Mr. Penn's voice, and that's when Oswald realizes if he kills the Scarface puppet, then maybe Mr. Penn will be back to himself. But yes, we get that wonderful moment with Ed going, no, that psycho's going to turn around and going to go after us. We don't need this guy involved. Great moment. Sad to lose Mr. Penn again, but
definitely.
But a great moment, definitely.
Bullet to the head, dead.
Well, it's only a bullet and it is Gotham. You never know. Could be back in a future series. You never know.
Exactly. And on to our second WTF moment. Harvey has a cobblepot.
Yes.
Jane Doe.
Yes.
A dark secret emerges from Harvey's past, but one that we are kind of aware of anyway, because it kind of looks back to the Spirit of the Goat in season 1 with his former partner Dix, who's now in a wheelchair, but also another 2 of his former detective mates in the GCPD.
Yeah, and I do think it's good to underline as well that this is also a reference to Harvey saying to Jim Gordon back in season 1 that everybody has a cobblepot. Everybody has something deep inside themselves that they're hiding from everybody else in the GCPD or everybody else in Gotham. Everybody has the cobblepot. His cobblepot is this girl, Jane Doe, who effectively he convinced to testify against her mother at 7 years old, and then she went into the horrible orphanage system of Gotham and ended up going through into Arkham Asylum and ended up getting taken by into Indian Hill by Professor Strange, and turned into this creature effectively, all because of Harvey trying to make it back in the old GCPD and trying to make it as a detective. This was even before he was a full-on detective. He was very early in the police department. I think they keep calling him the young boy or the young man is the way that Jane Doe is describing him. So,
it's all roads lead to Professor Hugo Strange in Gotham, certainly if you're institutionalized. So, great to see Harvey with his cobblepot. It's a shame Jim wasn't able to forgive his cobblepot in the same way that Harvey has forgiven Jim for his cobblepot. I love the scene in Sirens with Babs as well, where Harvey's other 2 colleagues, I think Lewis and Higgs, or Hoggs, were shot by Dix, who is actually Jane Doe. She is a shapeshifter, a chameleon, who's kind of can take on the form of anyone who she touches. So you get a really nice moment in the GCPD as well after she's been captured, where she changes into Jim, she changes into Harvey, and she changes into Babs as well to escape from the GCPD. Plus, Harvey shoots her, feels attacked, feels threatened, self-defense, or is it to cover up? I think it's the former, but certainly Harvey has a lot to think about here, and there's a great scene where Jane Doe is in the interview room at the precinct being interrogated by Jim, and Harvey's behind the 2-way glass, and just the reflection on that great shot there just really intensifies that inner turmoil that Harvey is going through.
Yeah, definitely. Really, really cool to have this kind of scene. And again, a big callback to Harvey Bullock's character, the whole idea that by him having this moment with Jane Doe, it turned him into the person he was before Jim Gordon arrived, and now he is the person he is now because of Jim Gordon being in the city. That's his explanation to Jim, and that's why they had that whole conversation. So, really cool moment. Loads more on that over our podcast, over at GothamTVPodcast.com. Let's get on to our final WTF moment for this one. This is the one that myself and John don't agree on, but John, tell us what this one is.
Well, if you go down to the sewers tonight, you're sure of a big surprise. A big proto-Killer Croc surprise.
Yes.
Certainly if you're Alfred and Bruce.
Absolutely. We have seen some behind-the-scene photographs of this character from Sean Pert, who put them up on his Instagram. He's basically a burned skin man. We see that he's been affected by Jeremiah's chemicals. Definitely in the whole vibe of the scene of Bruce and Alfred going down into the sewers, we're thinking the whole time this is going to be Killer Croc. You don't get a great look at the character when he's on screen, but definitely afterwards there's no scales on him, there's no spikes on him or anything like that. He looks less like Killer Croc than that character got knocked down by a bus in season 2.
He's in the early stages of Killer Crocness, so
maybe
definitely check it out. He's super strong. He's a human hybrid. He's only just been affected by the chemicals, presumably with all the crocodiles and other reptiles that are thrown into the sewers, especially since the explosions and No Man's Land kicked off. They're probably living all feral. He certainly likes the taste of flesh. So I think, whilst they probably can't use him, it's their little nod in that way to Killer Croc, and they can't say anything. So for me, it's Proto Killer Croc. For Derek, it's not Proto Killer Croc.
Well, just because we're missing the heart of Killer Croc, which is that he's a monster who will actually save people if he's not being treated badly by them, effectively. So
not enough time for that.
Exactly. So they didn't have time, so they just said, okay, this is a character. Potentially there's another character just down the other corner, or the other bend in the sewers that is Killer Croc, potentially.
But it was nice to see Alfred and Bruce team up in this way. And again, I think it brings a nice new dynamic to the Bruce and Alfred relationship, but also to Bruce becoming the Batman. There is this notion that they go after this guy to try and find this husband of a woman who's in the GCPD. They go after him thinking that there needs to be this other level that doesn't require the police or the GCPD, because that they need to work together. And I think we have that really nice moment where Bruce stops Alfred from beating the absolute crap out of this Proto Killer Croc.
Yeah.
And he just kind of pulls him off and says, no, you don't need to do that at all. This kind of vigilantism, if we're going to do it, we need to be better than that.
Exactly.
And it's a nice little twist here. Yeah. So it's good to see these two working together, teamed up, and just adding to, their foundations for what is to come later on in the this season of Gotham.
Yeah, definitely. That's our top 3 WTF moments. Very sorry if the sound dropped out a little bit in that recording. I know we recorded a little bit long on this episode. Loads of interesting WTF moments, but come and join us over on our actual podcast, GothamTVPodcast.com, or any other good podcast catcher to hear our full thoughts about the episode. And we'll be back again next week with the second of the 2 extra episodes for Gotham. Which means another episode which won't be majorly connected to the storyline. We're not going to get Jeremiah in there. We're not going to get Bane in there. That's all to be done in the other episodes of the show. These are our extra fan episodes, really, made by the crew and cast behind the show, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, fellow Gothamites. And come on over to Gotham TV Podcast. Listen to our full discussion. See ya.
Yep, bye.